What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel. As the starting 11 prediction for tomorrow's derby at Celtic Park against Rangers. But first of all, the transfer window closed last night and Celtic had a manic deadline day and we brought in 3 players on permanent deals. We smashed our transfer record with the £11 million arrival of Engels from Augsburg. Austin Trusty arrived for £6 million from Sheffield United, and right on the last minute, maybe even over the deadline, Luke McCowan for £1 million plus add-ons arrived from Dundee. So we finally have the final Celtic squad, what it's going to look like between now and January. A lot of players went out yesterday as well, so let's have a quick look then at what the Celtic squad is shaping up like for this first half of the season. We'll start in goals because that's where we've done the first business of the summer with Kasper Schmeichel and Viljami Sinisalo replacing Joe Hart and Benjamin Siegrist, I suppose, to complete the goalkeeping department. In defence, we've lost some players actually. Kobayashi's gone out. Gustav Lagerbielke's gone to FC20, obviously. We've brought in Austin Trusty for £6 million, as I just mentioned, from Sheffield United. Nawrocki's still here, I believe. There was talk of him getting a loan move. That didn't transpire, I don't think. So we do have those 5 centre-halves. Who knows if Nawrocki will be in the manager's thoughts at all in this first half of the season. Then at left-back, we've got Alex Valle on loan from Barcelona to give competition to Greg Taylor, something that was much needed, given that Taylor was only left-back at the club. Moving forward into midfield, a lot of change here. Luke McCowan's come in, which we'll come back to in a minute. The record signing of Engels for £11 million from Augsburg looks like the replacement for Matt O'Reilly, who's been a huge key player for us in the last couple of seasons. Paulo Bernardo came in from Benfica, of course, making his loan move permanent for last season. And then moving forward, we've got Adam Ida up front. Again, his loan deal for Norwich becoming permanent with that 8.5, rising to £9.5 million transfer. So Celtic have spent just over £30 million. I think we've brought in somewhere around £40 million in terms of outgoing transfers. Out wide, we've lost Mikey Johnson, who went to West Brom in the end for £3 million. He was linked to a move to Sheffield United after they agreed a deal for him, but he went back to West Brom, which I think is a good move for him. I wish him the best of luck. I'm sure he'll go and have a good career. It just didn't work out for him at Celtic. I think £3 million is a great deal from Celtic's point of view. The other thing I want to point out in midfield is that Tomoki Iwata left the club permanently to go to Birmingham last night. Now, I think that came out of the blue for a lot of people. Iwata's been in and out of the team. He's made cover for McGregor at times. I think when McGregor was injured last season, Iwata was the player that stepped in to that deep-lying midfield role. Iwata's really good off the ball, and I think on the ball sometimes he lets you down, but I didn't really expect him to go out permanently. I think maybe a loan deal, but he's left the club permanently and Luke McCowan's come in. I think Luke McCowan has been brilliant at Dundee last season. I remember watching him against us and thinking he was a really good player, 26 years of age, a Celtic supporter. You see that clip last night of him walking out the tunnel. Absolutely brilliant. He looks just as buzzing as me or you would be walking out that tunnel having signed for Celtic, so it was brilliant to see that. I think he's going to be a handy player for us. He obviously helps with the homegrown Scottish quota that you need for the Champions League. While he wasn't necessarily a 6 for Dundee, I think he's got the stature and the attributes to be cover for Callum McGregor. Who knows how much game time he'll get, but I think he's a really decent player, and I think domestically he will help us. We're going to have to rotate at times, given the number of European games we've got this season. So I think Luke McCowan could be a handy addition for us. The only question mark, I suppose, is in the wide areas. I know that Kuhn's came on leaps and bounds this season so far, and then we've got Forrest and Yang, Maeda and Palma. I think Palma and Yang, I'm not sure about what those two can offer if we have to rely on them at some stage. I think winger is the only position left where you think there might be a slight question mark. So there you go, that is what the Celtic squad looks like for the first half of the season. Let's hope we're better equipped to tackle the Champions League and continue this good domestic form that we've started the season with. You can let me know in the comments below what you think of the summer transfer business. Next week, I think I'm going to try and get a few of the boys together and we can go through the transfer window in a lot more detail and analyse it and really judge it. I'm just cramming this in first thing in the morning before getting the starting 11 prediction done for the derby. I think the club have obviously done well to get these deals over the line. Fair play to them. We did spend the guts of 20 million quid yesterday. In terms of net spend though, we've still made an £8 or £9 million profit, and that's a good thing from a player trading model point of view. But there's no doubt the club is still very, very healthy in a financial sense. I don't think it's one or the other. I don't think this now makes the board absolutely brilliant at recruitment and everything's fine. We don't need to change anything. I think there's things in the recruitment structure that do need to change. I think we could still have done with some deals being done a lot earlier. I think in a different circumstance, in a different season, where you have to get business done earlier, i.e. when you have Champions League qualifiers like we will have next season, we won't have the luxury to leave 3 or 4 transfers to the last week of the window. But fair play, we did get the deals done. We did show a good sign of intent with bringing in Engels for £11 million and breaking the transfer record. It was unthinkable to have him as the number one target to replace Matt O'Reilly and then not get the deal done. I think I said on Wednesday or Thursday that if we were at £9-10 million, we really had to get to 11 and get that deal over the line, because it was huge for us in terms of a statement of intent about how this season's going to go, and what we want to do with this team, and how the board want to back Brendan Rodgers. So credit to them for getting that done. Let's hope Trusty as well, £6 million, left centre half. Really delighted we got him in, because I thought for a long time this summer left centre half was one that we wouldn't go and improve. So I'm delighted we got him in as well. Again, big money for a centre half, £6 million. The only thing that we can't judge yet is how these players are going to fare at Celtic. So let's hope they all hit the ground running and have brilliant spells as Celtic players. And as I say, we can really build for this platform that we've started the season with. Brilliant form, and let's hope that can continue. So let's talk about tomorrow's derby then. Celtic have lost only one of the last 12 games against Rangers. 4 wins and 1 draw last season, ending in that Scottish Cup victory with Adam Ida's 90th minute winner. We were never behind in any of these derbies last season, which shows you how well we played in them, how well we approached them, and how well we started the games. I think tomorrow, in front of a packed home crowd, we've got that opportunity again. We've been starting games very well so far this season, against Hibs, even last weekend against St Mirren, getting early goals to take control of the game. I think if we start like that tomorrow and get an early goal and get after Rangers, we can make it a very long afternoon for them. But I also accept that there was games last season where it looked like we might take the game away from them after our good starts, and it didn't really materialise. They obviously had 2 games where they were down to 10 men at Celtic Park, and it looked like we could really race ahead and add to the score, and it ended up close going into those last 10-15 minutes on both occasions. But I think we're full of confidence. Rangers obviously had that 6-0 win against Ross County last weekend. Maybe that's a good thing if that's given them a bit of confidence for tomorrow. They've not looked great so far this season. I don't know how much of the transfer business they wanted to get done they managed to get done yesterday. I think one of their deals fell through towards the end of the deadline last night, so they're not in as good shape as we are. But again, you never really know with these derbies. I think if we can start the game, as I say, the way we've been starting games recently, and get the crowd behind us tomorrow, we've got a brilliant opportunity to go and win the game. Yesterday at the pre-match press conference, I spoke to Brendan Rodgers. He'd already sidestepped all of the transfer business questions because the deals for Engels, Trusty and then McCowan weren't done, so he just said he would talk about it once the business was done. So I asked him what aspect of the team's improvement this season is he most impressed with, what thing pleases him the most, and he was clear that the pressing and the improvement and how the team is pressing the game is the thing that stands out most to him. It was a really good answer he gave about how he looks at pressing and passing and how the team have to respect the 30% of the game, which most often, most weeks they have 70% possession, the team has 30%, we've got to get after them and they've got the ball, and that then helps us attack. And also the other thing I asked him, does he feel better equipped, not just in terms of the squad, because obviously he wasn't going to answer that because the transfer business wasn't done, but the tactical evolution of the team, does he feel better equipped to tackle the Champions League this season? He said that's the plan. The things they tested in pre-season against the likes of Man City and Chelsea, who were higher level opponents, were with a view to trying to develop the team tactically when it came back to European competition this season. So let's see how that goes. I think the Champions League draw is obviously a brilliant one for us. If you were with us on the live stream, you'll have saw a reaction to that. Lots of brilliant away trips, lots of good games, hopefully winnable games. I saw that Opta table of the most difficult fixtures that every team was drawn against, and Celtic are at the bottom of it for the, on paper, in brackets, easiest fixtures. So let's hope we can make some progress in Europe this season. But in terms of tomorrow, we've got to get after Rangers for the word go, and hopefully we can get a huge first derby win of the season. So let's get to the team then, and we'll start Engels as we always do with Kasper Schmeichel. It's a first Glasgow derby for him. He's only faced 3 shots. Brendan Rodgers said this in response to one of my questions yesterday, that you can see it, you guys watching the game, that we've only faced 3 shots on target all season so far. So Kasper Schmeichel's not had a lot to do. His distribution's been excellent. Let's hope he doesn't have much to do tomorrow. But you feel confident with him between the sticks. Back 4, Johnston, Carter-Vickers, Scales and Taylor. I don't think Valle will be ready to take part in this game. I'm sure he'll be on the bench. We might see him at some stage, but I don't think he's going to start. Same goes for Trusty. He only arrived in last night. I don't even think he'll have trained with the team. Maybe he'll train today, but there's no chance of him coming straight in to start the game, I wouldn't think. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. Some concern yesterday because Cameron Carter-Vickers didn't take part in the open section of training. That was one of the first questions to Brendan Rodgers at the press conference yesterday, and he said no, he's absolutely fine. Sometimes they just take the decision to give players a bit of a rest period if they think they're coming up to being overloaded in training. So Carter-Vickers is absolutely fine, which is huge for us. I won't tell you the panic in the Celtic Fans TV group chat when there was stories saying that Carter-Vickers could have been out at the weekend. In midfield, McGregor, Hatate and Paulo Bernardo. Bernardo set him up for O'Reilly again. I thought he was decent last weekend. I thought Hatate was brilliant last weekend. I think Rio Hatate maybe has to take on the mantle now until Engels gets into the team as being that midfielder who can break forward and score goals. We know that he can do that. Matt O'Reilly scored 18 goals last season. I'm not saying that Hatate has to go and get 18, 20 goals this season, but he's already got 2. A brilliant finish with his left foot last week away against St Mirren. I thought all afternoon he was very, very good. And I think he has to step up now in these games. We've seen him do it before in these fixtures, but if you remember the last 2 derbies, particularly the one at Celtic Park, he really faded. I don't know if that was where his fitness and his sharpness was at that time, Rio Hatate, but I think he really struggled in those games in the second half. So tomorrow I want to see a performance much more like what we're used to from him in these fixtures. And who knows, hopefully something like his first game in this fixture where he managed to notch a double. Front 3, the right hand side, obviously James Forrest started last weekend. If you think back to last season, in that last 8-10 games, James Forrest was the catalyst for us turning things around in many ways. And Nicholas Kuhn, whose form has dramatically increased this season, dramatically improved this season, was on the bench. He came off the bench, he got an assist for Alistair Johnston. I'm going to go with Kuhn. It's almost a toss of a coin. I wouldn't be surprised to see Brendan Rodgers start with James Forrest, because I think in these derbies towards the end of last season he was really direct, really positive. He's got a lot of experience obviously to help us, but I just think Kuhn started the season so well. He's going to get the nod there, and there's no way that you can't play Dyson-Maeda on the left hand side. We know his record in this fixture. We know how much he presses Rangers' defence when they've got the ball, but also in terms of his goals that he's added in this fixture, both at Ibrox last season, and then he obviously sets up the John Lundstrom own goal in that Celtic Park derby. So he's a huge player for us in this game. Really sets the tone for us in terms of our intensity and pressing. So that's who I think will play out wide, Kuhn and Maeda. Let us know in the comments if you think Forrest should play instead. And through the middle, I can only see one man starting, and it's Kyogo Furuhashi. Came off the bench last weekend, had one chance. Adamida started the game, didn't look too sharp. He still looks a bit rusty, Adamida. I think Kyogo, given his record in this fixture, the way he plays, is the player that will give the Rangers defence nightmares. I think if you look at the Celtic lineup tomorrow and you're in the Rangers defence and you see Kyogo starting, you're worried about it. I'm not saying that isn't the case with Adamida, but I think the pace of Kyogo in behind provides a bigger threat to that Rangers defence, and we know that his record in this fixture has been brilliant. We know that he can hurt Rangers, and if we can give chances to him, he can be a big player for us again, even in terms of pressing. We know that he'll harass the Rangers defence, so I think Kyogo's got to start tomorrow. We'll definitely see that sometime in the game. Again, he's one coming in like Bernardo last season, who's already proven he can do it in this fixture. We've got players all over the pitch who have got brilliant records in this fixture, who have done it time and time again. The likes of Kyogo, the likes of Maeda, the likes of Bernardo even last season, Callum McGregor, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Alistair Johnston. We've got players that have stepped up in this fixture, and Adam Ida from the bench is also one of them who scored big goals. So Adam Ida from the bench is a huge impact player for us, but that's the 11 that I think Brendan Rodgers will go with for this game. Let me know if you think these players will start in the comments below. Like the video. Please don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow with all of the full-time reaction and the return of the post-match pint from Malone's. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. Mon the Hoops.